did you see any of this hearing that they had in the Senate on Monday? It was called the American Health and Nutrition, a Second Opinion Roundtable discussion at the Senate. It was hosted by U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin. Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. And it was so eye-opening and alarming. And I really, really, really hope you guys will go back and look at it. It's 4 hours long. You could watch it on 2.0, but we'll post a link to it in our episode description. I'm going to give you just a couple of highlights, all right? You know Dr. Casey Means. She was on our show a couple Fridays ago promoting her book, Good Energy. And it's an incredible read, and it's very upsetting, but also a call to action when it comes to what we're feeding our children and ourselves. She talks about what we're doing to our cells, mitochondrial damage that we're causing to ourselves, and how the entire system is set up to hurt us, from the way we shop, to the way we farm, to the way we feed kids in school, to the way our doctors treat us, to the way they hook us on medicine and Big Pharma steps in to keep us hooked forever, to how doctors in med school are not educated on how to heal anything. No prevention, no nutrition. It's all about how to treat illnesses that are there with a pill or a scalpel. And the whole system's on its head when it comes to our well-being and our health. So RFKJ was there. He was one of sort of the co-hosts, I would say. But it really wasn't about him. He was making good points, but it was really about these activists who have been in this space for a long time sounding the alarm. Here's a soundbite from Casey Means, doctor, Stanford-educated surgeon, on what she didn't learn in med school. It's South 37.
It's not an overstatement to say that I learned virtually nothing at Stanford Medical School about the tens of thousands of scientific papers that elucidate these root causes of why American health is plummeting and how environmental factors are causing it. For instance, in medical school, I did not learn that for each additional serving of ultra-processed food we eat, early mortality increases by 18%. This now makes up 67% of the foods our kids are eating. I took 0 nutrition courses in medical school. We need a return to common sense and intuition. We need a return to awe for the sheer miraculousness of our lives. We need all hands on deck.
Casey's book goes into things like, truly ultra-processed foods being the absolute worst. The absolute worst. They're everywhere. Stay out of the middle of the grocery store. It's the food you put in your pantry or your cupboard. It's not the food around the aisles, on the outskirts of the grocery store that will spoil in a week if you leave it on the counter. That's the stuff that you should be eating. But you should be eating organic versions of it, organic fruits and vegetables. I know it's expensive, but so is high healthcare, a lot of healthcare needs. And unfortunately, the system is set up to make you sick. So it's a must. And she was talking in great detail about, the amount of pesticides that we are putting on our fruits and vegetables in the modern American farm is absolutely horrifying. And that these are carcinogens. They're carcinogens. And we expect them to kill on impact all of these bugs. But with us, it's supposed to be fine. Like, does absolutely nothing to us. We're some, magical creature that doesn't have any blowback from consuming all of these chemicals. So organic fruits and vegetables, pasture-raised organic chicken and eggs, grass-fed organic beef, and milk too, grass-fed milk, wild-caught fish, because the other stuff is filled with a bunch of stuff, not just toxins, but plastics and so on. She talks about exercise and how if there were a drug that you could take that would reduce your risk of Alzheimer's in half, it would be the #1 best-selling drug in all of America. And she writes in the book, it's called walking, 10,000 steps a day. That's it. Like move your body, get a treadmill, get a walking treadmill, a raisable desk, and a walking treadmill underneath it so you can get your steps in. Challenge yourself. Hot and cold therapy. You can just turn your shower to cold at the end of the shower, 2 minutes. Start with 30 seconds, work your way up to 60, then do 2. It eventually doesn't hurt. It hurts in the beginning. But your body needs to be shocked with extreme heat and extreme cold because that's how we used to live, right? Like our ancestors who grew up in the mountains would face 40-degree temperatures overnight and 80-degree temperatures during the day. And we're used to that, not 72 degrees perfectly comfortable inside a climate-controlled living room or office all day. Talks about getting back in touch with nature. You heard a little bit of that in her soundbite about how you should be outside for some 15 minutes within the first hour of waking up. You be the one to walk your dogs. You be the one to go out get the paper off your driveway. Connecting with nature through hikes or moonlight stargazes or, yes, feet in the grass and your children too. And sort of reconnect with our connection with one another and how we're all related. You know, we're all part of the same cycle that regenerates generation after generation, both the earth and ourselves. There's a lot in that book, and there was a lot at that hearing that was really sensible. And also, let's be honest, somewhat infuriating when it comes to the incentives that these companies have to keep us sick. That big pharma, medicine, big ag, they don't give a damn about the amount of pesticides they're shoving at us. They just want to make money. They don't give a damn about the ultra-processed foods they're shoving down our children's faces in school and at the grocery store. They just want to make money. And then the doctors make money on the back end because everyone gets sick. Because colon cancer rates are going up and pancreatic cancer is striking at younger and younger ages. And people are dying, but the system always wins. The system lives on and finds a whole new generation of potential victims. There was a woman who I mentioned on the show. She was great. Her name is Vani Hari, and she's a food activist. She was there with a guy named Jason Karp, who's the founder and CEO of Human Co-Brands and co-founder of something called Hugh Kitchen. And they got up there to talk about the difference just between Europe and the United States, about how the European government does actually have some baseline regulations on what can be in the food supply. We have like none. It's still the Wild West here. And she made this example with a few different food types, including Fruit Loops. Here's a bit of that.
This is the Canadian version.
This is the brightness of the Canadian version, just for visibility. And this is the brightness of artificial food dyes. So, of course, Kellogg and other food companies will argue children prefer this over this, just as they would prefer cocaine over sugar. That doesn't make it okay.
But I think
the addiction to sugar, not to mention those food dyes, which are carcinogens, is rampant. You guys know by this point the story of how these food groups decided that saturated fat was going to be made the bad guy and sugar was going to be added into all our foods. So we got rid of saturated fat. We put sugar in everything. We all got addicted to sugar. Our kids are addicted to sugar. Casey Means writes in her book, do you know how much sugar kids actually should be taking in? These little kids, the federal guidelines suggested something like 25 grams. Zero. I used to really like these Yasso bars. I still like them. I'm not going to lie. They have 18 grams of sugar. That's like the lighter Greek yogurt style ice cream, just on a stick. So your amount you take in is limited. That's not how kids eat ice cream. Most kids have like a big bowl of ice cream. And in a lot of families, like my own, we were allowing it to happen every night. We were not stopping our kids from having dessert. They're thin. They seem healthy. That's terrible. Like, I'm ashamed we were doing that we're not doing that now. But think about it. Like, the whole industry is a big shoulder shrug. What do they do in school every time somebody has a birthday? There's a treat, there's a cake, there's a cookie, there's something that's both highly or ultra processed and sugary to perpetuate your kid's addiction. You go out to dinner, Seed oils, they're in everything. We showed you the video a couple weeks ago of how seed oils are made. It looks like filling up the gas tank in your car. I don't even know what that substance is. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's in everything. Vegetable oil sounds so healthy. Olive oil. Yes. Coconut oil. Yes. Avocado oil. Yes. But all these things, try going and eating healthy seeds and nuts in the grocery store. They are healthy, seeds and nuts. That's a good snack. Unless you buy the 90% prepackaged kind that are everywhere that say they were roasted in sunflower oil, which they almost all do. Pesto, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, whatever oil. You have to really look to find olive oil as the base. You have to read all the ingredients. It takes a lot of time. Who's got time to learn all these lessons? But these changes could be potentially life-saving. I'm irritated we have to work so hard for it. I want a store that will just offer only healthy foods, and I mean truly healthy, without the pesticides, without the ultra-processed stuff, without all the sugar, the added sugar. They're not complaining about the sugar that's in a pear. Without drinks like sodas and fruit juice, which is just the devil. There isn't such a thing. And when they tried at this hearing to call attention to these issues, they got laughed at. Cyber attacks are on the rise, with corporate megastores falling victim to data breaches that could expose your private information. Now these same megastores are lobbying DC politicians to pass the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. According to our sponsor, Electronic Payments Coalition, this bill could leave you even more vulnerable to credit card cyber attacks, while megastores pocket billions in additional profits. Learn more at guardyourcard.com and then consider telling Congress to guard your card. The Electronic Payments Coalition says Americans lose when politicians choose. Again, that's guardyourcard.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.